Now to a number of crimes where your help is needed and where we've invited police officers to appeal to you directly for information. Here at the Crimewatch UK incident desk are David Hatcher and Helen Phelps.
Hello. We start with a fresh appeal for your help in tracking down the killer of a young nursing student, Ila Karjalainen. On holiday from Finland, she was last seen alive on Sunday, the 7th of August last year. That's when she checked out of the YWCA in London and headed off west, probably hitchhiking. Her body was discovered on the Blenheim estate in Oxfordshire, but her rucksack was found 5 miles away, right beside the A40 at Bernard Gate. Did you travel from Oxford to Witney on that Sunday, August the 7th, or see Ila walking along or maybe waiting for a lift? Note the gold shoes, and the blue socks and the white trousers, and that Finnish flag on her blue rucksack, which when found was light of about £100 in Finnish currency. Now markers are fairly unusual. Were you offered any, or did you see anyone trying to exchange some? A recent clue is this anonymous letter, posted from Oxford in January this year. The writer mentions finding a small purse and a thin, waterproof jacket near where Ila's rucksack was found. Did someone you know come back from an afternoon walk with a new anorak? If you can help with the letter, the markers, the rucksack, or if you recognise Ila, please call us.
And maybe you can help us solve one of the most heartless crimes of the month. This looks like any ordinary transit caravan, but it's probably unique. It's equipped with all the modifications you need for someone in a wheelchair, so that disabled people can share holidays with their families. 8 weeks ago, a young man turned up at the owners in North London, desperate to hire the van to rescue, he said, disabled friends stranded in Cumbria. He drove off on March the 28th and the caravan hasn't been seen since. His chequebook and licence turned out to be stolen. The bus has the number plate HWV361V, or at least it had. It might have been changed now. We need to hear from anyone who has seen or serviced this van. Please keep a lookout.
Now, are you about to be robbed yourself? Do you remember that audacious Holborn safe deposit job when Lloyd's Bank was broken into over a weekend, when the gang made off with millions of pounds? Well, the City of London police have caught some of the gang, and that, you might think, would be the end of that. Except for these photos, which officers came across during the inquiry. These safes and strong rooms are almost certainly targets which are all sussed out and ready to crack. Is yours the next on the hit list? This is the sort of thing you'd find in any retailers dealing with small but valuable goods. Have you worked anywhere where the filing baskets were on top of the chub out the back? Is that where you plugged in the kettle? This one's also a chub, a bit more sophisticated. Do you recognise the panelling? Wherever you are, have a think about the safe where you work. And if you recognise any of these safes, please let us know.
And finally, Thames Valley Police have been appealing for a week for help to trace Mark Tildesley. Last Friday, he cycled to his local fair in Wokingham and was last seen there at 7 o'clock in the evening. He was wearing a cream zip-up jacket with a lion on the back. His gold-coloured chopper bike was found tied to the railings where he would have met his parents. Did you see him? Was he with anyone? And still on the subject of missing children, Lothian and Border Police investigating the murder of 5-year-old Caroline Hogg have been very concerned about the number of suspicious incidents which go unreported. We didn't think it was important enough, is what people usually say when pressed. Please don't think that. The message for parents everywhere is make sure your children know how to say no to strangers.
If you can help with any of the items we've mentioned, please call us here at Crimewatch UK.
And the number to ring is 01811 8055. We'll be waiting for your call.
Well, now to the Crimewatch UK incident desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly for your help in solving a variety of crimes. Here are Chief Inspector David Hatcher and WDC Helen Phelps.
We start this month with an appeal to motorists who travelled through Shropshire during March and might unwittingly have given a lift to a murderer. It was on March the 21st that Hilda Murrell, an international expert on roses, was stabbed and left to die a few miles from the house in Shrewsbury where she lived alone. It may be that when she came home from shopping she disturbed a burglar. At any rate, she was taken on a bizarre ride in her own car through the surrounding countryside. Witnesses say they saw a man driving erratically with Miss Murrell slumped in the front seat. The car, a white Renault 5, was found in a ditch 6 miles away at Huntington, and in a field about 500 yards away was Miss Murrell's body. This knife is believed to have been used in the attack. Miss Murrell was 79. As well as needing more information from local people, we're widening our appeal to motorists passing through the area who could have dropped Miss Murrell's killer on the A5 near her home before the murder, or given him a lift away from the scene, perhaps along the A49 north towards Cheshire, on the Newport Road, westward along the A5 towards Wales, or even east towards Telford and the M6. If you remember giving anyone a lift in Shropshire on that day, please call us in confidence here at Crimewatch UK.
Now the London rapist. Actually, the police are looking for 2 men. The first was active in Kensington, and the Met Police, armed with a psychological profile composed by the FBI, have started a new house-to-house inquiry in the Redcliffe Gardens area. It might be that someone who has moved away since the first attack in 1979 has some useful information. If that's you, please call the incident room. The Kensington rapist has also boasted of 2 unreported attacks. There may even be more. So if you have been a victim and stayed silent for whatever reason, do think now about calling us. There are women here who can take your call if you prefer, and it is in confidence. In the second series of rapes in Notting Hill, this paper knife was stolen. When it was recovered, the ivory end of the knife handle had been replaced with a piece of blue plastic, and it had been splashed with house paint. If this triggers off any memories, please call us. Wherever you live, the fundamental warning is security. If you live alone, check that your doors and windows are secure. If you see someone acting suspiciously in the gardens around blocks of flats, call the police. And one last point. When you are in the evenings, remember to draw your curtains.
And now we turn our attention to a rather curious armed robbery in Liverpool. It's curious not for the fact that 2 armed men escaped with about £2,000 in cash, but rather that they were caught in the act by a security camera. The raid took place at the Kensington branch of Barclays Bank in Liverpool on Monday the 9th of April this year. It was 3:25, only a few minutes before the bank was due to close, when 2 men entered. One of them pulled a stocking over his face and produced a pistol. The other, meanwhile, collected nearly £2,000 in cash, which he put into a white plastic bag. Unfortunately for them, in their rush to escape, they dropped the bag and the money spilt onto the floor. If we examine one of the stills more closely, we get a fairly good picture of one of the robbers. And if you recognise him, the £5,000 reward could be yours. Perhaps you were in the Liverpool-Kensington area on that day and saw the 2 men with the white plastic bag running out of the bank. We're anxious to trace these 2 men because next time, using a gun just like this, they might kill someone.
And if you can help on any of these cases, do call us here at the incident desk on Crimewatch UK.
And the number to ring 01811 8055.
Now to the Crimewatch UK Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly for help in solving crime. Here are Detective Constable Helen Phelps and Chief Inspector David Hatcher.
First on Incident Desk tonight, a particularly macabre case. Yianula Yiani, a 17-year-old Cypriot girl, was raped and strangled 2 years ago this week at her home in Belsize Road, Hampstead, London. We believe the murderer is also responsible for the desecration of her grave, which began last October, almost a year after her death. The grave is in the New Southgate Cemetery in North London. Yianula's parents noticed that the oil lamp below the cross at the grave had been interfered with. The wick had been removed over 40 times. The desecration actually happened on one occasion while the grave was under police surveillance, using infrared cameras, and yet the film revealed nothing. The Metropolitan Police have used the newly developed BBC Crimewatch video fit system to improve this photo fit of a man seen following Yianula near her home shortly before she died. With the help of the witness and the investigating officer, we've brought it much closer to the witness's original memory by adding colour to the eyes, skin and hair. He's described as 5'6" tall, in his late teens or early 20s, possibly of Greek Cypriot origin and also possibly with a moustache. The video fit shows us what he'd look like without the moustache too. Much younger, in fact nearer the age the witness remembered him to be. Do you know anyone who looks like this? Have you seen anyone behaving suspiciously in or around New Southgate Cemetery?
And we'd also like to see if you can recognise two men who robbed the National and Provincial Building Society in Victoria Street, London, on the 9th of January this year. Unknown to them, two cameras recorded their every move. The time was 4:40 on a Monday afternoon. This is how the leader of the two men threatened staff with a gun. He's thought to be in his late 30s and may have a northern accent. His partner is in his 20s. From the pictures, we're convinced that someone will be able to recognise one or both of these men, and if so, we'd like to hear from you. Take another closer look. You may have seen two men like this together, drinking in your local pub. Please give us a ring here at Crimewatch if you think you can help identify them. All calls will be treated in confidence.
This is a £50 note. In fact, it's not worth the paper it's printed on. It's a forgery. Indeed, I've had to promise to return this one after the programme for it to be destroyed officially. The forgeries, and they're a tiny fraction of the 20 million or so genuine £50 notes in circulation, have been around since Easter. Now they're turning up in Northern Ireland. Police there have told us that so far 36 counterfeit notes have been recovered, mainly from the Antrim, Belfast, Down and Armagh areas. The forgeries are of a very high standard, but if you know what you're looking for, they're easy to spot. By holding them against the light, you can see that they have no watermark on the front left-hand side. Also, there's no metallic strip in the note, although some form of dye has been used to give the impression of one. And finally, the forgeries feel different. The paper is of an inferior quality. Remember, if you're lucky enough to receive a £50 note, then do examine it against the light, because if it is a forgery and you've accepted it, then the loss is yours. If you're unlucky enough to get caught out, then do contact your local police station immediately.
There's been a dramatic new turn in an unsolved murder which happened over 6 years ago in Bath. Avon and Somerset Police have asked Crimewatch to help them with a vital new lead. The victim, Mrs Beryl Culverwell, was found dead in the garage of her home in Widcombe Hill, Bath. She had been stabbed and then bludgeoned to death with a shotgun. Only 10 days ago, Bath Police received an anonymous phone call which they believe to be genuine. The caller claims that the man who murdered Mrs Culverwell has a tattoo, a swallow, somewhere on the left side of his face. It may be on his forehead, something like this. Or it could be lower down. Do you know anyone who has this distinctive mark? Please contact us. Another clue. He was sharing a flat somewhere in the Bath area in 1978 with a man called Steve. Police would also like the anonymous caller and Steve to come forward.
Finally, a last-minute appeal today from Hampshire Police in connection with a crime which took place in the New Forest last Thursday. They need your help to track down a man who carried out a particularly savage rape on a 58-year-old German tourist in the woods just off the A35. The man, 20 to 30 years old, of West Indian or African origin, slim, athletic build, had his hair done in what's called the cane row style. He was wearing a mid to royal blue V-neck jumper and dark-coloured trousers or possibly shorts. Round his neck he had 3 silver-coloured chains with a number of medallions hanging from one of them. A man fitting the description was seen shortly after the attack driving away in a large green box van along the A35 in the direction of Lyndhurst. We'd like to hear from anyone who's seen or knows of a dark green van like this. It has a roll-up back door, which could have been driven by our multi-medallion man in the New Forest last Thursday. Remember, you can ring us in strictest confidence here at Crimewatch UK.
The number, as always, 01 811 8055.
And now the Crimewatch Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. Here are Detective Constable Helen Phelps and Chief Inspector David Hatcher.
We've 3 cases for you tonight. First, a crime which happened late at night near a London Underground station in April this year. The murder of 45-year-old senior Customs and Excise man Anthony Littler. With the help of a lookalike, we've reconstructed in daylight the events leading up to the crime. On Monday the 30th of April, Anthony Littler caught the Bank Line tube from London Bridge and arrived at East Finchley Station at 16 minutes past midnight. He was recognised by the station foreman as he passed the ticket barrier. On leaving the station, he crossed the road and set off home down this alleyway opposite the station. Just 6 minutes later, the emergency services received a call from someone who wouldn't give his name. He said a man had been badly injured and was lying in a pool of blood. coming in such a short space of time, the call could only have been made from one of two phone boxes. This kiosk, which is directly opposite the tube itself, or just 400 yards away at the other end of the alley in Market Place. Did you see anyone making a call at that time, 22 minutes past midnight, on that Monday evening, April the 30th? We'd also like the other passengers on that train to come forward. In particular, a man wearing a black suit and about 6 foot tall. We'd also like to hear from anyone who drank with Anthony Littler in pubs in the East Finchley area. And of course, all calls will be treated in the strictest confidence.
It's now a month since Saturday the 1st of September when 15-year-old Mark Billington went missing from his home in Yardley, on the outskirts of Birmingham. This picture of Mark was taken when he was 13. He would look a little older now. This police reconstruction shows how Mark set off from his home in Gilbertston Avenue, Yardley, at about 11:15 that Saturday morning. He was next seen half a mile away, here at Yew Tree, where he visited the Birmingham and Bridgewater Building Society to deposit some money in his savings account. It was about 11:20, the last time he was definitely seen. We want to hear from anyone who saw Mark at any time on that Saturday, and there are two clues which might jog your memory. Mark's blue bike has never been found, but here at Crimewatch we've had made up an exact replica of the bike. It had been painted this royal blue colour. It had a white pump and a carrier on the back. If anyone has seen a bicycle like this in the last month, please ring us. Wait, note the mileometer. It fitted on the wheel here. And the second clue. Mark was known to have spent some time that morning at the Linden playing fields flying his kite. The playing fields are right by Mark's home. We believe that Mark was with 4 or 5 other boys at the time. Now, they may not know how Mark disappeared, but if those boys are watching, please ring us in confidence. A call to Crimewatch might reunite Mark Billington with his parents.
And finally, on the incident desk, we need your help to find an armed robber who's gaining in confidence and needs to be caught fast. This is the Leeds Permanent Building Society at Roundhay Road in Leeds. And when our villain decided to raid it, he didn't account for the security camera which recorded this sequence of events. You can see the robber in the top right of the picture, and nearer the camera, the cashier who, faced with a handgun, wisely hands over the cash. By the way, the helmet the man wore was royal blue with a white peak. "13 days later, he turned his attention to another branch of the Leeds Permanent, this time on Hare Hills Lane, less than a mile away in Leeds. The attack happened at about 2:45 p.m, and this time you can see clearly what we must assume is a real handgun. And then, just 10 days ago, the man with the blue helmet, clearly set on a career in films, decided to travel further afield. This is the National Provincial Building Society in Norfolk Street, Sheffield, where he struck just after 2:15 p.m, and it was the same method of operation. After the third raid, the man drove away in this Fawn Hillman Avenger, which he abandoned at 2:30 in the National Car Park in Wellington Street, Sheffield. Now, we want to hear from anyone who saw the man leaving this car park, perhaps on foot, or maybe in another car.
Remember, it was the 21st of September, just a week ago, last Friday, and the robber was wearing a waist-length anorak with elasticated cuffs and zip front. It was blue and maroon, and his trousers were beige or fawn. That blue helmet did hide his face, but fortunately we do have a pretty good idea of what he looks like. When he bought his getaway cars for the last 2 of his raids, the people who sold them had a very good look at him, and the descriptions led to this artist's impression of him. Well, here at Crimewatch, we invited both those witnesses along, and together with the officers on the case, they developed a Crimewatch video fit of the wanted man. The computer enabled the witnesses to add features from a standard photo fit kit to the original artist drawing, making it more lifelike and closer to their recollection. This hair came from an earlier photo fit of the man. Then, with a good black and white likeness, and relying on the memories of both witnesses, we can add colour to complete the video fit. The hair was a mid to light brown, and he had a slightly tanned complexion. He dresses fairly smartly when he's not attacking building societies. He's reckoned to be about 5'8" to 5'10", of medium build, and has a Yorkshire accent.
Plenty to go on there, and we expect results pretty quickly on this one. And if you have any information on any of these cases, do call us here at the incident desk on Crimewatch UK.
And the number, of course, is 01 811 8055.
Now the Crimewatch Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. Tonight, we start with a major new request for help in the investigation into the bomb attack at Brighton. Here are Chief Inspector David Hatcher and Detective Constable Helen Phelps.
The Brighton bomb inquiry depends on eliminating everyone who stayed at the Grand Hotel since July the 1st. But that's been made more difficult because, for whatever reason, many people registered under false names. Sussex Police have asked Crimewatch to make a special appeal for one man who booked in using the name Roy Walsh. On September the 15th, 16th and 17th, just 3.5 weeks before the bombing, he stayed in room 629, the room where the bomb was planted. Detective Chief Superintendent Jack Rees, who's heading the inquiry, has joined us here in the Crimewatch studio. And if the man who gave his name as Roy Walsh rings, now Mr. Rees guarantees that his call will be treated in absolute confidence. He also wants to hear from Mr. Walsh's companion that weekend, the 15th to the 17th of September, and anyone else who thinks they may know who Roy Walsh is.
And your help is urgently needed in tracking down a man who raped an unemployed girl 3 weeks ago on Tuesday, October the 16th. The well-spoken middle-aged city gent first approached the 18-year-old girl on Monday the 15th of October as she left the job centre in Erdington in Birmingham. Smartly dressed in a blue-grey suit and calling himself Mr. Day, he invited the girl to come for an interview for a job as a receptionist. But his calculated plan had started a week earlier when he gained the keys and access to an empty shop at 38 Marsh Lane, Erdington. He then placed advertisements, this is one of them, in various local newsagents. The number for applicants to call was this phone box on the corner of Membury Road and Washwood Heath Road. Did you see a man hanging around this box between the 10th and the 16th of October? On Tuesday the 16th, that the girl he had met at the job centre kept her appointment at the Marsh Lane shop where she was assaulted. The man we're looking for is 45 to 50 years old, 5 foot 10 inches tall, well built and of smart appearance. There's evidence that he may have been driving a white ex-registered Metro, and he claims to come from outside the area. If you know anyone who fits this description and was in Birmingham between the 10th and the 16th of October, please ring us.
At 3:15 p.m. on the 3rd of October, a Securicor van arrived at Norman's Cash and Carry in Christchurch, Dorset, to make a routine collection. The van was attacked, and as this police reconstruction shows, the driver was shot in the leg. The vital clue which you can help with are these overalls, which were dropped at the scene during the attack. Just here, on the inside of the pocket, there is a name. It's hard to make out the writing now, but by close examination, you can see that the name is B. Gregory. B. Gregory may know nothing about the armed attack, but he or she may well be able to put police on the trail of the armed robbers. Let us know if you have any idea who B. Gregory might be.
Next on Incident Desk, we've 4 faces we want you to take a close look at. Among the Crimewatch photo call faces this month are these 2. The robbery squad have asked us to appeal to anyone who may have seen these 2 men. On the left is Christopher Haig, and on the right, Stefan Raczynski. Both of these men escaped from Harrow Police Station on Wednesday the 3rd of October, where they were waiting to appear in court on charges connected with an armed robbery. Both men may be armed and should certainly not be approached. If you think you've seen them, you can ring us in confidence here on Crimewatch UK.
And have you seen this man? His name's John Goldie, and police believe he may be able to help them with their inquiries into the theft of £52,000 from a Securicor van in Coventry on the 7th of June this year. He speaks with a Scottish accent and has a tattoo, Scotland Forever, on the left forearm and Gloria on his right hand. Incidentally, he was last spotted at Alnwick in Northumberland on the 4th of July this year.
And the third picture we want you to study was taken at the Baker Street branch of the Newcastle Building Society in London's West End. At 3:45 p.m. on Wednesday the 22nd of August, this man threatened staff with a handgun, demanded cash and then walked out with the gun and the cash in his plastic bag. If we zoom right in on our enlarged print, we get such a good look at the robber's face that someone must surely recognise him despite his dark glasses. Ring us here if you recognise him. Someday he may use his gun. He's about 5 foot 8 inches tall and has sandy hair. And call us if you recognise any of the faces in our photo call.
And if you have any information on any of those cases, call us here on 01811 8055, 01811 8055. And now the Crimewatch Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. Here are Detective Constable Helen Phelps and Chief Inspector David Hatcher.
First on Incident Desk, we're appealing for your help on the murder of a 76-year-old lady, Barbara Pinder, described by her friends as strong-willed and lively. She was strangled, then stabbed 35 times at her home in Battersea in London, sometime between Friday the 26th and Sunday the 28th of October. She lived here at Prince of Wales Mansions in Prince of Wales Drive, and we need to trace anyone who was seen entering the flats during that weekend. Mrs. Pinder lived in flat 24A, and to remind you, that was the weekend that the clocks went back. Many witnesses have already come forward, and two in particular remember seeing 3 workmen enter the mansions at about 10:45 on the morning of Friday, October the 28th. Those 2 witnesses produced this photo fit of one of the men, and here at Crimewatch they were able to improve on the picture to produce this video fit. The man was about 5'9", 35 to 40 years old, and wore a red jumper. One of his 2 colleagues wore blue overalls, and the men were carrying tools. Later that morning, 3 other men were seen in a green van outside Prince of Wales Mansions. We want to hear from anyone who saw that green van, or this man and his 2 fellow workmen.
Your help is also needed in Manchester in the hunt for a man who raped an 11-year-old girl. It happened a month ago on Wednesday the 21st of November in the Moston area. We're anxious to trace a man seen outside the entrance to Moston Youth Centre in Hoff Hall Road shortly after 7 p.m. He's described as 28 years old, 5 foot 10 inches tall, and was wearing jeans and a blue cagoule with the hood up, and these rather expensive trainers. They're the distinctive high-tech brand. After the attacks, he escaped over a fence beside the centre and ran across Moston playing fields towards Albine Street and Pym Street. If you live in this area, perhaps you remember seeing him. He must have been very muddy after the attack. Next to the centre is Moston College, and anyone taking evening classes there that night may have seen the man around 7 o'clock. Remember, the attack happened on Wednesday the 21st of November here at the Moston Youth Centre, and it may be linked to a similar incident 2 days earlier, about a mile away, here at the junction of Victoria Avenue East and Rochdale Road. A man dressed in similar clothes attempted to rape a 12-year-old girl. This description, this time, was of a man in his late teens. If you have any information at all, you can ring us here in confidence.
Police in Thames Valley need your help to complete their inquiries into this murder. On Thursday the 18th of October, the burning body of a man was found here in Willets Lane, Denham. It's just off the M40 in Buckinghamshire. We still need to find the victim's car. It was a red Colt Mirage, like this one, and it's disappeared. There's the registration number, A268ARX. At least that's what it was. It could be anything now. Have you seen one like it in your street? We've reason to believe it's still somewhere between London and Buckinghamshire. Remember the number, A268ARX, and ring us if you've seen that car.
And just in case you've still got some Christmas shopping to do, take a look at this lot. They're exclusive and very valuable fur coats, and 30 of them, just like these, have been stolen and are no doubt being offered to new owners. Some of them have pelt numbers, and police in Cheshire have been trying to track them down since they were stolen from a furrier's in Wilmslow late on Thursday the 27th of September. They'd earlier been displayed at a fashion show and were being kept overnight at Marshall's Furs in Water Lane. The thieves smashed their way into the shop, and from witnesses we've been able to compile these photo fits of 2 people who may have been involved in the raid. The pair are thought to have Liverpool accents and may use a white Mercedes car seen in the area prior to the robbery. 30 furs, valued at more than £40,000, were stolen. They're all one-offs, and these are some of the pelt numbers of the coats, which are mainly a mixture of sables and minks. They could be anywhere by now, Manchester, Liverpool, even London. You never know where they might turn up. So if you do get offered furs like these, fresh from the back of a lorry, give us a ring here, or ring your local police.
And the number to ring if you can help in any way, 01811 8055. That's 01811 8055.